Kia ora, it's Joe. Right, I'm going to continue with the Tania limited exercise. They've already incorporated the company, they've acquired a business through the issue of shares to K Martin, and then on the next thing they want us to help them with is that the directors on the 1st of July 2005 have decided to go to the public with a share offering, 1 million ordinary shares at 95 cents each and 400,000 preference shares at $1.20 each. Right, so we need to account for that. By the 15th of August, they've had applications. There's an over-subscription to the ordinary shares. There's a 1.5 million applications for ordinary shares, and there's 300,000 an under subscription to the preference shares. All right, so that's what's transpired. So we'll deal with that first. On the 31st, they start to allocate the shares and refund the money for the oversubscriptions. All right, so let's have a look. So on the application, we need to sort of do a few workings just to see where we're at. So what they've had is they've had 1.5 million at 95 cents, and they've had 300,000 at $1.20. Those are the applications. So that's the money that they have received. All right, so they need to get that into a trust bank account. So in the bank account, there'll be 1.785 million showing up, and they will code that to two holding accounts, and they will be so they can work through the application. So there'll be an application holding account for the ordinary shares, and there'll be an application holding account for the preference shares. Both of those will be liability accounts, right? Because they're just holding the money on behalf, and the money is sitting there until they've allocated the shares. All right. Just for interest, what were they trying to raise? Right. Okay, so that was what they were hoping to raise. Okay. So because it's an oversubscription to the ordinary shares, they would have raised that amount, but they've only raised, so they've really raised $120,000 less, I suppose. So the next thing is that they, on the 31st of August, they need to allocate the shares. All right, so how are we going to do that? All right, so let's do some workings. Pretty much they're going to allocate 1 million shares at 95 cents is $9.50. They're going to allocate 300,000 shares at $1.20. So that's what they're going to allocate out as shares. So first of all, they can, from the ordinary I'm going to do the credit sides first. Those are the shares that they're going to allocate, and that marries up with that. So that's credit capital, the two capital accounts, okay? And because they've allocated those shares out to people, the ordinary and the preference shares, okay? Basically, they've got share script, and therefore we can journal to those two liability holding accounts. The ordinary, we can reduce that down by the $9.50. And we can reduce down the preference by $3.60. So the preference holding account will be exactly zero now, because we've allocated all we owed them in the form of share script. As far as the people who've applied for the ordinary, we will owe them only the difference now, because we've allocated them $950,000 worth of shares. All right. So now to refund the difference to those people who have oversubscribed, we allocated the shares on a pro rata basis, and therefore we need to take that money out of the bank and give it back to those people. All right. So the money coming out of the bank, all right. So the trust bank will now have no money in it. Sorry, not quite. It will have money in it, and that's why we do the next journal. All right. So we've allocated the oversubscription out of the trust account, which is good. We've done our job. Everything's been allocated. We can now do the final transaction, which is to take the money out of the trust account, that amount there, and put that in the company bank account. so the company can use that as working capital. So that's job done. All right, so we've gone to the market, we've made an offering, they've subscribed, they've oversubscribed on one share type, they've undersubscribed on the others. We've worked out who we've got to refund money to, we've allocated share script, and now the company has raised the capital that it was seeking. A little bit short, but we've accounted for it, and then we can move on to the next transaction for Tania Limited. So this is 2 of 3. I'll create another video for the next one.